Here's our tangent video for our circle chapter. Just real quick, show you what a tangent is. Okay, so a tangent hits a circle only once. So the line you see on the screen is not a tangent because it hits here and here. So a tangent could look like this. Hits a circle only once. Okay? It could go through the circle. It could also start or end at that point of intersection. Okay, so that's a tangent. So what you're going to learn in this video is that if there is a radius that goes to the center of the circle from that point we call point of tangency, that this intersection must be a right angle. Okay, the angle there is a right angle. Okay, so on to our video. A tangent line intersects a circle at exactly one point. Call it the point of tangency. A line is tangent to a circle if and only if it's perpendicular. That's the 90-degree portion, perpendicular to a radius. So in order for it to be tangent, radius, I don't know why I put an E there. It has to be a right triangle or right angle. So 1 and 2, we are testing if it's a right triangle. So your right angle will be here. We're testing if it's a right triangle. And how do we do that? This is back from the previous unit. We do Pythagorean theorem. If a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, it is a right triangle. The right angle always has to be on the outside of the circle, not the center. So looking at number 1, I could say this is A, this is B, and the hypo C is across from the right angle. And I'll test this. 8 squared plus 15 squared equals 17 squared. 8 squared is 64. 15 squared is 225. 64 plus 225 is 289. And 17 squared is 289. Since this is equal and this is a right triangle, this answer is a yes. It is tangent. Let me show you this is a no. This is a no, it's not tangent because this is not a right triangle. This will not be a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But here's the problem. Here's what you can't do. You got to catch this, and we're going to be catching this all video, is that this is A, this is B. Now look at C. C is not 5. What they're trying to show you is this portion only is 5. You have to create this portion. And that portion is, because this radius is 11, this radius is also 11. So the hypo is now 11 plus 5, and it's 16. So 11 squared is A, B is 14, and now we're dealing with C is 16 squared. 11 squared is 121, 14 squared is 196, add them together and get 317. And then 16 squared is 256. They are not equal. I represent that with a slash through the equal sign. This is not a right triangle because they are not equal. This would be an acute triangle because a squared plus b squared is bigger than c squared. So how do we find pieces if it comes out and tells us it is tangent? How do we find missing pieces? Okay, So we're going to use Pythagorean theorem on all these. So your Pythagorean theorem here is we're trying to find the hypo, so we're trying to find C. So your math here would just be A and B, A squared. I always like to make A my smallest side, so I always like to make A the smallest side. B is the medium side, and X would be the hypo. So if you solve this, you would get your hypo, and it would be a decimal, okay? C squared, or 7 squared and 19 squared added together, I get 410. And the last step would be to take the square roots. So X would approximately be right around 20.2. That's what I got in my calculator. Hopefully you get it in yours. Now look at number 4. This is going to be a find B. Okay, the right angle is always on the outside. So your C, whoops, hit the button with my wrist. So your C in this one is not 7. Your hypo is made up of all that, and they're trying to show you that 7 is only a portion of it. You have to recognize that this is a radius. That's 11, so this portion has to be 11. Okay, your C is going to be 18 squared. I'm going to say 11 is A, and this is going to be a find B. So I'm missing B. I'll use capital so it doesn't look like a 6. All right, so I'll have 121, that's 11 squared, plus B squared equals 324 is 18 squared. I'm going to subtract here. I'm subtracting 121 from both sides, and I get 203. And the last step is to take the square roots, and you're going to get right around 14.2 after you take the square roots. Last step of Pythagorean theorem is always take the square roots. All right, moving on. Okay, now here's what I want you to find on this one. I want you to only find that portion. Now what you need to know is that that is a portion of C. It's not all of C. Okay, so all of this is the hypo. Okay, so if you were to find the hypo, okay, so I got 10 squared is A, 24 squared is B, and if we find the hypo here, I'm going to be able to find X. So 10 squared and 24 squared added together is 676. Okay? Then we're going to take the square root, and C is 26. Now, this whole thing is 26. But you know this portion has to be 10 because it's a radius. So X is now this red portion. So what you should be seeing now is X plus 10 is that 26. X plus 10 equals 26. So X is 16. Remember, this is a radius. This is a radius. They have to be the same. Okay, look at number 6. Okay, I'm not going to have room to solve this because I put a little Michelangelo in there. But remember, here's your right angle. So I'm going to call this A. And I'm going to call this side B, but remember, you have to use that whole side as B. So we are going to double that radius because this is a diameter. So the radius is 24. So our equation is going to be A squared plus 24 squared for B equals C squared. Okay, so that's how you'd find that one. That's not 24 squared. Sorry. That is 22 squared. I went too fast. 11 plus 11 is 22, not 24. I was looking at this problem over here, number 5, because I thought it looked similar. Okay, same thing here. Same thing with your side. Make sure you double that to make it 3.5. This is the C, so I'm going to put x squared on the right. Now, usually I like to make the smallest side A. So this is 6.4, but this B here, this is 7. 3.5 plus 3.5, the diameter is 7 there. So I'm going to say 6.4 squared plus 7 squared equals x squared. And it's okay to get a decimal. So 6.4 squared plus 7 squared is 89.96. That's what you should see in your calculator. Then the last step is always take the square root. And I should get right around 9.5. You can always pause the video to get that. Number 8. Okay, so I could say this is also x. So really, we're going to make this A, because that's the right angle. Here is the B. So the B is both those x's combined. And then C is 25 across the right angle. So if I just solve for B, x has to be half of B. So if I just set this up, solving for B, and at the end I cut it in half because two x's make up B. So I got 49 plus B squared. 25 times 25 is 625. Subtract from both sides to get 576, and the square root is 24. Okay, so that whole piece is 24. This divided by 2, x is 12. So there's your tangent video. It's Pythagorean theorem.